good morning. Yeah. So how many audience today for the first lecture? Can you let me know that?
Is more than 150 student will join here, Professor.
Okay.
Yeah, and
so,
they are from more than 24 countries.
24 countries? Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So it should be maybe
very
they have
big lecture. Yeah, it's my honor to join that lecture.
And the different level of degree. So there are maybe some senior high school student, like a last senior high school in the third grade, and then bachelor, master, and also some PhD student. They are
wow, quite diversified.
Yeah, diversified.
Yeah, today I'm going to talk about that global finance issue, connected interest rate. I will try to go through this idea as easy as possible. Actually, this topic is based on some of my current research. So because I'm concerning some PhD, some graduate student and the faculty join this meeting. So I prepare some research material, but I don't know in advance some high school students are going to join that lecture also. So it's not easy to prepare the material for all of the audience together. So but that's no problem. I will try my best. So
because we don't want to eliminate some participant, even they are high school student. Maybe they are so curious how to learn the finance, or maybe they are preparing for their undergraduate study tomorrow. So their curiosity. So we cannot stop.
Yeah, that's no problem. Thank you. Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So you are going to host that lecture?
Yeah. There is a host, and I will be the moderator for Professor.
Thank you. Yeah. So, what do you think? We start from of course, 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, the host will start it, and will give it to me.
All right. Are we going to have some break during this, for example, this first 1 hour? Do we need to do that, or it would be no problem for me to talk that issue?
Professor, for the question and answer session, Professor prefer for during Professor deliver the courses, there are some student maybe interruption for maybe they want to deliver their question, or which
that's no problem, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, that's no problem.
So when in the middle of professor presentation, maybe there are some students, they want to ask something regarding.
All right. Just let me know. That's no problem. Of course. Yeah, sure. Yes. Okay.
Also some students, they are living in Africa, so maybe too early for them to join now. So maybe they're trying to maybe a little bit late for the joining.
Yeah, that's no problem. That's no problem because you are host. Yeah, I see that's a timetable. You show that what's the West Indonesian time compared to the like the Taipei time or Beijing time or different kind of time zone. I found some of the time zone you show in Africa, so that's quite convenient for everyone to join that online. together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Cool.
There are some students in Africa. They are still at 3 a.m. So maybe
All
too
right.
early for them.
So
yeah. And it is also will be recorded, Professor, and we will upload it in maybe
no problem.
channel. So
the
students who are
YouTube or
coming late,
something.
yeah, maybe students who are
Okay.
coming late
Yeah,
can
that's
see
no
that.
problem. Yeah, right. Yeah, thank you.
And yeah.
Assalamualaikum
Hello.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our 2-day summer course. My name is Putri Hardiningsi, and I'll be your host for today's program. And we are delighted to have you all here with us virtually. And we are honored to have several distinguished guests with us this morning. I would like to express my gratitude to all those present at this program. Today, we have the Dean of the Faculty of Economic and Business, Ibu Dini Yuniarti, and the Head of the Study Program, Bapak Rifki Khairuddin, and all lecturers and participants. Thank you all for being here. And let us express our praise and gratitude to God Almighty. Thanks to His blessing and grace, we are able to gather here for the opening of the summer course, first International Summer Course, Global Finance and Asset Management for Sustainable Development. And let me outline the course for today's program. The first is a main session with moderators, and the second is photo session, and the last is closing. But before we begin, I would like to take a photo sessions, maybe. Oh, okay, next. And ladies and gentlemen, esteemed participants of the summer course, we will now proceed to the main program of today's activities. And the theme is Indonesian First International Summer Course, Global Finance and Asset Management for Sustainable Development, hosted by the Department of Development Economic, Faculty of Economic and Business, Universitas Ahmad Dahlan. And this session will be led by our two moderators. The first session will be moderated by Bapak Agus Salim, who will handle the presentation by Professor Mingjian Chang from National Zhonghua University of Taiwan, titled The State of Global Finance. And let us welcome our first moderator, Bapak Agus Salim. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Putri Hardiningsi. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Agus Salim as your moderator of this first course studies class with Professor Mingjian Chang from National Zhonghua University that will discuss about the state of the global finance. Professor also have shared his screen. The title is Sovereign Debt, Interest Rate and Exchange Rate in Global Finance. Before we are going to start our first course, let me introduce Professor Chang. Professor Chang is now a senior professor at Department of Economics, College of Humanities and Social Science in National Zhonghua University or NTHU Hualien, Taiwan. Professor is also the Dean of the College of Management of National United University or NUU Mayoli, Taiwan. Professor Chang was a senior clerk of money market trading of Taan Bank or Taisin Bank in Taiwan, and still so many academic and structural experiences of Professor Chang that I cannot explain you one by one because it is so many. And Professor Chang has a lot of experiences in visiting scholars, was in University of Liverpool, Vanderbilt University, and University of Nottingham, and other institutions around the world. talking about the research publication, Professor Chang has so many published in reputable academic journals. Even in 2024, Professor Chang has published at least 4 papers, as I know, and maybe more, in some highly reputable journals such as CESI for Economic Studies, Taiwan Economics Forecast and Policy, the BE Journal of Macroeconomics and Empirical Economics, as we have currently recorded from his academic curriculum vitae. Mostly related to the global finance that we will learn in this course today. So, ladies and gentlemen, during the course of that will be delivered by Professor Chang, maybe all of participants want to ask some question can raising your hand during the course, and maybe if you want to drop your question into our chat box, it is also okay. So without any further ado, let me give the screen and time to Professor Chang. Professor, the screen and time is yours.
Thank you very much for your invitation. It's my great honor to give a talk in this lecture. My name is Minjian Chang. I'm from the National United University and National Donghua University in Taiwan. Today, I'm going to talk about the specific topic in the global finance. Specific topic, we connect the sovereign debt, interest rate, and the exchange rate together in the global finance. The most material of the lecture today is based on my current research about the global finance. One of the hottest issue is in the global finance is regarding the public debt interest rate differential. The interest rate differential, that means interest rate between home and foreign country. And then the connection with the exchange rate fluctuation. This is one of the hottest topic in global finance. About the public finance, someone gives another name, the sovereign debt or the government debt. In the theory, if the public debt increase, it will result in the higher risk premium because a lot of the debt, the investor worry about the government can repay the debt or not. So because the higher default risks, so as result in increase in the interest rate. Then the investor will try to avoid the allocation of their assets in one country, in their home country, and withdraw the money from that country. That's the risk premium. So in other words, if over the investor sell the home currency and buy foreign currency, then the home currency value will be getting lower. That means the home currency will depreciate. So in this lecture, we are going to connect the public debt and the interest rate and then the exchange rate fluctuation. The two very popular issues regarding the connection between interest rate or interest rate differential and the exchange rate. They are two main topics. One is a carry trade. Another one is an uncovered interest rate parity. About the carry trade, we give you one example. If the interest rate, for example, in Japan is about 0.5%, but in the United States is about 5%. So that the investor can borrow Japanese yen and then invest in the United States to earn a 4.5% differential. So that's going to make the easy money because the interest rate differential between the United States and Japan is 5%. is 4.5%. So of course, the carry rate imply or assume the exchange rate remain stable or no big difference, so that can earn money from the interest rate differential. This is one issue in the global finance, connect the interest rate and the exchange rate. And another one is uncover interest rate parity. We show you one similar example. If the United States interest rate is 2% and the Eurozone interest rate is 1%, so uncover interest rate parity suggests that US dollar should be depreciated about 1% to keep $1 invest in the United States and invest in the Eurozone, get the same paid off. So that's an uncover interest rate parity. We are going to apply in our topic today. Give one carry trade example, like for example, the USA today, on Monday, this Monday, they have one comment of one news about what is the carry trade and how the small rate hike in the Japan, Bank of Japan triggered a global sell-off. So what you have ever seen this week for the interest rate increasing, for the interest rate increasing by the end of July, the interest rate just raised from 0.1% to 0.25%. It's just a little interest rate increasing, but why that Japanese yen appreciate a lot since August? That because the investor expected Japanese yen will raise the interest rate this year and the next year from the half year of 2024 to 2025. And investor also expected United States dollar will decrease that interest rate. So if that expectation is correct, that means interest rate differential for United States dollar and Japanese yuan will shrink, will decrease. So that will make the carry trade money from selling United States dollar and buying the Japanese yuan, so make Japanese yuan appreciation since the August. So even just a small rate hike in Japan and trigger global sale of United States dollar. So that is the idea of the carry trade. Carry trade and uncover interest rate parity connect. That connection are the most important issue in the global finance. But our research, our current research, do exchange rate react to sovereign debt changes? This paper are done by one of my PhD student, Bahan, and one of my co-author, Yuan. The second author, that's Min Jianchang, is me. The paper now is under review in the Journal of International Money and Finance. Today, we are going to use the sovereign debt changes and then connect it to interest rate changes, or more specifically, we can talk about that's interest rate differential changes and then react to the exchange rate changes. This is the best idea of the lecture we are going to talk today. So, based on the a simple overview of the paper. This study explore underlying link about the sovereign debt, interest rate, and the exchange rate together. Exactly the topic we are going to talk in today. We use a debt elastic interest rate model using both linear and nonlinear methodology. Then conduct 1 quarter ahead out of sample exchange rate forecasting on the debt elastic uncovered interest rate parity. So that means the model today we are going to talk is connected to the uncovered interest rate parity, because uncovered interest rate parity connect interest rate differential and exchange rate changes, and that's the sovereign debt and the interest rate changes connected by the risk premium. So that's what we have ever done in this working paper. We analyze 10 countries, 10 highest debt to GDP ratio worldwide. That country data and the result consistently support the superior performance of the nonlinear model. We apply one specific nonlinear model to do the connection between debt and the interest rate, and we found that the interest rate become more sensitive to the sovereign debt changes if that debt reach a particular threshold. What does that mean? That's if the debt to GDP level is not high enough, that investor may not be worried about the default case. But when that's a debt to GDP level increase to reach a particular threshold, that's investor worry about the government repaid ability. So that's the case. We are going to use the nonlinear model, and we found the debt elastic exchange rate forecasting model can consistently outperform the random walk process. The random walk process that usually used to be the benchmark of the exchange rate forecasting model, and we found at least at the 10% significant level, we confirm the role of the sovereign debt in the structural forecasting procedure. That means we can use the debt elastic exchange rate forecasting model beat the random walk process. This is the best idea overview of the paper. So about the best background economic intuition, the public debt is usually to be major and national financial health or economic stability over the past decades. I believe everybody knows that. Based on the Hamilton's famous said, if a national debt if it's not excessive, will be to earth a national blessing. So that means if the debt level is too high, it may be dangerous. So a country's credit rating greatly influences the investors' confidence. So if the debt level is too high, that means the default risk increasing, so it will destroy investors' confidence. So a rising public debt raises the concern about the potential default that the investor will be worried under economic vulnerability. So in recent years, it's become increasingly common to observe a developed country economies grappling with the substantial sovereign debt burdens. For example, in 2 years ago, 2022, major economies such as Japan or United States consistently rank among the highest global government debt, exceeding 100% to the debt's GDP. So in the next figure 1, we depicts the country with the highest general government debt to GDP. The major year is 2022 because this research had been done in 2022. So we found that European nation also contend with a remarkable elaborated debt levels. This is a figure we connected the general government debt to GDP in 2022. And we found in our sample, basically, we adopt some country with the highest debt level, and they may suffer from the default crisis. So we take the 10 country from over than 100% debt to GDP level. So you can see most of that country are the developed country and with the highest debt to GDP level. Only one country are excluded, that is rate. Its debt to GDP level higher than 100%, but excluded because we have no enough data to analyze the issue. So we have the 10 country from Belgium to Japan, from almost higher, about 105% to 250% in 2022 year. So the extensive data may regarding the potential sovereign debt default and potentially leading to the capital outflow. And the capital outflow, that means sell the home currency to buy the foreign currency. So it will result in home currency depreciation. So, and the empirical debt, sorry. So the empirical evidence reinforces this argument, revealing a positive correlation between the changes in the debt to GDP ratio and the exchange rate. So what does that mean? If the debt to GDP ratio higher, that means with higher default risk. So investors sell home currency depreciate. So that we have a positive correlation between debt to GDP and exchange rate. To figure out this the best idea of this research, so we collected more than 70 country data from 1999 to 2021. We try to study that relationship between debt to GDP ratio and exchange rate changes over the past 20 years. And the connection over 70 countries, we found that basically a positive relationship. The horizontal is the average debt changes over the past 20 years. And the vertical is the average exchange rate changes. So we found a positive relationship between debt changes and exchange rate changes. So that means we found the best evidence to show if the debt higher, default risk higher, interest rate will be higher, and then currency will depreciate. That's the idea of our research. As the preliminary evidence to support our argument. And we also found some support from the literature, like Shahid 2015. He found the external debt and exchange rate depreciation positive relationship in Nigeria. Or Garstaya 2017, he also find that is in the high region and close to the default threshold, and we are resulting significant depreciation in the real exchange rate. And that's the risk for a risk-averse investor. It should be sensitive to high level of the debt. So that means the investor will shift their portfolio away from local currency to other other domestic assets, reallocated to the safer or more liquid security in foreign country. So we are resulting home currency depreciation. This is the basic idea of our study. So that's the risk-averse investor nature become more wary of default risk associated with heavily indebted country demanding higher risk premium. So one example, like Greek government debt crisis in 2020, that's a famous euro-dollar crisis in 2020, showing how yeah.
No interruption, Professor.
All right. So it's indebted enroll the confidence of the economy, and that's government debt increasing will downgrade a credit rating from A to C, and we now we use the proposition of the uncovering interest rate condition and to connect exchange rate with the interest rate differential to do the exchange rate forecasting, and we try to study how that may lead to the currency depreciation. This is our research, and over the past decades, in the literature, we found the most exchange rate forecasting study normally based on the Taylor rule to replace the interest rate differential, but it's the first research we use the elastic interest rate differential to study the currency fluctuation. So that's unique of our work. Even this sounds a very, very simple idea. So a lot of the literature explain the relationship between the debt and the interest rate by using the linear model. So using the linear model, that means, like, for example, debt to GDP increase 1% and interest rate increase 0.1% or something. That's a linear relationship, like a lot of famous scholar like Chin and Franco 2007. However, the reaction of the interest rate concerning debt may not be uniformly across the different level of the debt. So investor may react to high debt level are distinct from the reaction to the low debt levels. That means it may not be a linear relationship between the debt and the interest rate. So with this assumption of a constant coefficient, the compressed relationship between debt and the risk premium remain underexplored with the linear framework. So that means we try to apply our research in linear form and nonlinear form together, and we identify that if we found evidence to support the nonlinear relationship between debt and the interest rate, and we try to study what kind of nonlinear behavior between the debt and the interest rate. That's what we do. So, in our conclusion, we found that in some research like B20, is someone raising a hand? Okay, so the sovereign debt, the default risk premium and the sovereign debt default become a possibility and increased significantly in the B2012, about 10 years ago study. But note, 2012 find the similar result, the nonlinear relationship between the debt and the risk premium by using the European data. But more recently, in 2020, Bronzosa, they found the same evidence when they investigating the nonlinear nature of the risk premium and the default. And this study, we connect the default risk and that level basically based on the Bronzosa's 2020 research. And the similar vein in the figure 3, next figure, we are going to illustrate the nonlinear connection between the sovereign debt and the interest rate. We have the 10 countries, but we show you some example for the debt and the bond yield. The vertical, that's a bond yield, and the horizontal, that's a debt to GDP level. We found the connection between debt and the debt to GDP and risk premium over the interest rate. That's not linear relationship. So it's the best evidence to support our argument that both interest rate and debt, they may not be the linear connection. They differ from the idea of the Chin and Franco 2007 famous framework to study the interest rate and debt level by using the linear way. So, this is the best idea of our research. And in the next figure, we explore the relationship between the gross debt and the government bond yield for the 10 countries with the highest average debt level from 2010 to 2019. This is the list of our country, including the sample period. We got the 10 country, like the first figure we showed you. That's a 10 country with the highest debt to GDP level, and we collected the available data, some available data from 1999 to 2020, and some starting from 2000 to 2020. This is data, but almost all of the data end in the fourth quarter of 2020. And obviously, the interest rate react differently to the change in the debt level. And if we just apply the simple linear model, it may not fully capture that relationship. So the figure 3, we show you the nonlinear relationship between the debt to GDP and the interest rate over risk premium. That's is not a linear relationship. At least it looks like not linear relationship. So that's why we adopt a nonlinear methodology in our study to capture the link between debt and the interest rate. And even though that's important, the figure to draw without controlling the possibility for the crucial factor is just that means we just briefly use a very simple idea to show that's a nonlinear relationship. So the debt level, or more specifically, the debt to GDP level and the interest rate subsequently leverage the relationship to make the forecast regarding exchange rate fluctuation. So that's what we say we use. That's that elastic interest rate differential uncover interest rate parity to do the exchange rate forecasting. Sorry. Over the past 20 years in the literature, the most studied exchange rate forecasting study based on the Taylor rule model in the extending the uncovered interest rate parity model. In uncovered interest rate parity forecasting exchange rate out of sample exchange rate forecasting model to forecast exchange rate changes. Like, for example, Charles Engel 2019 over Matsuki and Chang. That's actually my paper. I co-also with one Japanese economist in 2016, and the paper published in the Australian Economic Paper. We extend to integrate that elastic interest rate differential component into the conventional uncovered interest rate parity framework. So different from the conventional study, they connect the conventional uncovered interest rate parity paper with the Taylor rule to do exchange rate forecasting. So that's different. And we are firstly explain the link between the country's sovereign debt and the risk premium using the nonlinear framework, nonlinear approach. And our estimation can potentially serve as the valuable reference point out for the policymaker facilitating the assessment of country's default risk. That means we can remind the policymaker if debt to GDP is too high, it may get a trouble in the currency crisis. That because very simple idea, the debt to GDP level increasing, and then investor worry about the default risk. So increase the interest rate differential and then to sell out their currency. That means it's possibly to get trouble in the currency value. And that's identifying the critical threshold as the premium, risk premium exhibits heightened sensitivity to the debt level. And the contribution of the study to the literature or to this field in global finance is on exchange rate forecasting involves integrating debt into the uncovered interest rate parity. This is the main contribution of this study or in this field, because nobody connect that exchange rate forecasting by using uncovered interest rate parity condition and discuss that's a nonlinear relationship between the debt and the interest rate level, and then use that to do the outsample exchange rate forecasting. So that's the best idea we work. And this approach responds to the call to consider the role of a risk premium in forecasting exchange rate movement, an aspect that has been relatively understudied in the existing literature. For that result, we discovered that out of the 10 represented countries with an average debt to GDP ratio exceeding 100%, only 3 countries showed the positive impact of debt to the interest rate. The gross debt has a largely negative significant effect on the risk premium, with the exception of Italy, where the effect is not statistically significant. That's something what we found. This divergence result may be explained by the spread adoption of a quantitative easing. That's I discussed with my co-author. The quantitative easing QE policy over the post-2008, where despite increase the debt, but interest rate remained still low because our data mostly cover the QE era. So this finding enriched the extent literature. So even we didn't find all of the cases to support our argument, the debt and the debt to GDP level to the interest rate differential, but it still highlighted the nonlinear link between debt and the interest rate. That's the best result we found. Our forecasting model extending beyond the traditional uncovered interest rate consider outperform the random walk model. That means the debt elastic uncovered interest rate exchange rate forecasting model can beat the random walk process at least at the 10% or lower level. So that means to apply the interest rate differential with the elastic debt level to do the exchange rate forecasting work, basically. This is our topic, talk about the connection between the debt and the sovereign debts or public debt and the interest rate differential with that's exchange rate fluctuation. This is the best framework, what we are going to do, and what kind of the methodology or what kind of data we apply, and what's the result we found, and how we explain that's so 3-factor connection in global finance. This is the best framework. I'm not so sure if there any problem or any comment. If no more comment, we are going to discuss about that very detailed about the model and the data and the methodology with the result. The empirical models in this section will present the nonlinear relationship between sovereign debt and risk premium, just like in the best idea we have ever shown you, and with the fundamental uncovered interest rate parity. Uncovered interest rate parity is very simple idea, like at the beginning. To be the very beginning, we show you interest rate differential and the exchange rate changes normally connected to issue. One is carry trade, another one is uncovered interest rate parity. So we apply uncovered interest rate parity, not carry trade. So first of all, we show the nonlinear relationship between sovereign debt and risk premium. So that's a nonlinear relationship between sovereign debt risk and the risk premium is widely not only empirical study, like in the Bernanke or in the B in the theoretical literature. In practice, In practice, if the linear model assumes, in the linear model, it assumes a constant coefficient of the debt on the interest rate, like I have ever shown you that the example for like debt to GDP increase 1% and the interest rate linear increase 0.1%. That's a linear relationship. But this is in the convention study, they connect the debt risk and the debt level and the risk premium by using the linear model. But the model allow in our model we allow varying coefficient in different state over the different region. So that means we accurately depicted this relationship. Or you can say nonlinear model. The linear model is one special case of the nonlinear model. So that means if you estimate a model by nonlinear and the important part of the nonlinear is insignificant, that means the data or model imply that the relationship is linear. So that's the best idea. To show that the relationship between interest rate and that's debt to GDP level, or you can say that's the interest rate, the risk premium to the debt level, we basically based on Bazzoza 2020's research, because Bazzoza proposed a model in which the default risk premium is a nonlinear function of the government debt. So we actually do the similar things, but we extend his model to be much more general form. That's the contribution of our study on the topic of the global finance. Specifically, our model, in the Bazzoza's model, they apply smooth transition regression. That's STR. That means smooth transition regression is one of specific econometric method mostly popularly used in the econometric textbook over others. I believe some of you have ever studied that's a smooth transition regression model. And the model first introduced by Granger 1993 and Tatasvova 1994 for the time series and the cross-sectional data. But in our research, we apply mostly that's the time series data. It can be used to describe the semi-elastic risk premium with respect to net foreign assets. That's in the very beginning, about 30 years ago, the model has been developed. But we truly apply smooth transition model and also use some recent extent much more general model to examine our data and our model. And we assume the risk premium react nonlinearly to the sovereign debt level through a smooth transition function. That's a STR model. And the important role of the other macroeconomic variable normally have to be incorporated from the smooth transition model estimation. Like, for example, GDP per capita or CPI. Actually, we follow the Bazzoza 2020's work to incorporate some of the key macroeconomic variable in determining that exchange rate changes. So following Bazzoza or Granger or Traversata 1993 and the 1994 paper, the debt in that elastic interest rate has the following form. This is the best form we use to measure the nonlinear relationship between the debt and the interest rate changes. So, so in this equation, the DT is exactly the debt to GDP level. And this is a nonlinear, this is a smooth transition model, incorporate linear and nonlinear part together. So that that's delta 1 control the linear part, but delta 2 control the nonlinear part. Most important, if we remove that's a G and the dt and the delta 2, this term, the model decay to be the linear form, but the nonlinear smooth transition is controlled by that G. That's a smooth transition model. So the GZ gamma C is a transition function. So it controls the threshold and the interest rate. What is that? The transition model reflecting the nonlinear between country's debt level and its risk premium. And we use the ZT as a transition variable. Actually, this is a theoretical model. So actually, we apply the DT, the debt to GDP level, as the transition variable, because for the economist, he or she can define what variable to be suitable for the transition variable. So we define the debt level, debt to GDP level as the transition variable, and then gamma the slope transition function, or C the threshold. In econometric, you can check the textbook. I believe that's not too difficult to learn the smooth transition model. And we also have a one vector xt. Xt is a vector of other control variable. And more specifically, the other control variable in this paper, we use the GDP per capita and the CPI, only two variables. This follow the literature from the Bazzosa. This is the best model we use, nonlinear model. And like we have ever shown you, the economics, the researcher have to define what is the transition variable. So we use a transition variable ZT as the debt to GDP level. That's a DT. So if so, we can rewrite that smooth transition function G from the earlier ZT to be the in practice to be the G dt gamma C. So the gamma and the C here, they are the coefficient estimated from the smooth transition econometric method. This is the models, smooth transition function model we used. But normally, for the smooth transition function in the literature, they are two different kinds of the form. One is a logistic form. Logistic form, one can see that's a G D T gamma C, like this one. This is the definition logistic form. In the literature, they are two popular one. One is a logistic. So what is the process is, we have to check if the model with a nonlinear relationship between the debt and the interest rate. If the answer is confirmed, and then we have to identify what kind of nonlinear form, if the form is a logistic or another one. That another one is exponential. So now two different kind of popular nonlinear form. One is logistic, like the first one we have ever showed you, like this kind of form. That's a logistic form. Another one is transition function, is exponential form like this one. So that's the model we are going to use to separate our. First of all, we confirm the model is linear or nonlinear, and if nonlinear, and then we have to allocate. We have to examine this nonlinear form is a logistic or exponential. So that's a regular way in the conventional nonlinear study. One applies this kind of method to do the nonlinear, to study the nonlinear relationship between variable. So the between variable, now we use the interest rate and the debt to GDP level. So the interest rate in theory, everybody know. In global finance, everybody know. Or in finance, everybody know interest rate can be decomposed to two different parts. One is a risk-free rate, and another one is a risk premium. In the empirical study, or even the consensus view, that risk-free interest rate is usually very stable, like a small number. But the risk premium can change in response to some different kind of the risk. So the risk premium, that means if you want to ask one investor to take a risk, one risk-averse investor to take a risk, you have to pay extra return. Otherwise, the risk-averse investor don't want to buy this kind of assets. So that's an idea of a risk premium. So the risk premium, they are different kind of risk premium, like inflation risk, default risk, and the liquidity risk. But the most important one must be the default risk. So the transition function in this study, or in this field, we control the transition function with the default risk, because now we use the debt to GDP level, so the DT can serve as the default risk, and the other control variable can react to remaining other risk to that elastic interest rate. Because we also in this model, we consider not just only the default risk, debt to GDP level, we also have other macroeconomic variable like GDP per capita and the CPI. So they control other economic, for example, economic recession risk like GDP per capita, over the CPI, we control the inflation risk. So that means we can think about, we can control almost all of the risk together. And if the debt increasing, debt to GDP increasing, the investor face a higher risk of the default and ask higher interest rate, because the interest rate can be decomposed to be the debt of the risk-free interest rate and the risk premium. But risk-free interest rate normally stable, constant, not sensitive to because that's a risk-free. For the risk-free interest rate, in practice, almost everybody use the Treasury 3 months or 1 month or 3 months Treasury bill rate in practice. So we expected the coefficient of the delta 1 and delta 2 all positive. That means because that delta 1 is a linear relationship between the debt level and the interest rate. But the delta 2 is a nonlinear relationship between debt and the interest rate. So in theory, we expect delta 1, both coefficient delta 1 and delta 2 are all positive. And that means exchange rate changes, so interest rate change to the debt level in linear and nonlinear are all positive. But I confess in our result, we found some positive or some negative relationship. We briefly explained that by the quantitative easing, like in the overview we have ever mentioned. About the uncovering interest condition, we propose the expected changes. The expected changes in the exchange rate are equal to the expected nominal interest rate differential between the domestic and the foreign country. So, based on in the nonlinear relationship, we connect the sovereign debt and the interest rate, like the topic sovereign debt, interest rate, and the exchange rate. Now we connect in this section B. We recall that the uncovering interest rate parity UIP. We connect the interest rate differential, the second factor, interest rate or interest rate differential, and the exchange rate changes. So based on the simple idea of uncovering interest parity, UIP condition proposed that expected changes in the exchange rate are equal to the expected nominal interest rate differential between domestic and foreign countries. So based on one popular paper, Freud and Rose 2002, we obtained the following relationship. So the relationship, the S delta ST is ST plus 1 minus ST. So what is that? Based on the direct exchange rate definition, that's one foreign currency to how many domestic currency. So if the delta S is positive, that means home currency depreciation. And that's a IT here. Now we defined IT here as is an interest rate differential. So that's a IDT. That D is a domestic interest rate, and UST is a United States interest rate. But in this study, we simply assume the foreign country just only the United States. United States is or in other words, United States is a numerator. So we use we measure the currency value of all of a country to the United States dollar. So we have the 10 countries. That means if the United States to be the numerator, we can make 9 country pair. So we can found 9 currency value and use the interest rate. We use the interest rate differential to do the exchange rate forecasting of the 9 currencies value based on uncovered interest rate parity. But different from the conventional study, someone directly used, like for example, Freud and Rose 2002, they forecast exchange rate changing just based on the interest rate differential. So that means one can apply, for example, like Canada's interest rate and United States interest rate differential to forecast exchange rates. But over the past decades, a lot of the study used the interest rate differential, but interest rate differential applied by Taylor rule. So what is that? That means home country's Taylor rule minus foreign country's Taylor rule to do exchange rate forecasting. But most important difference in this study, that means our contribution is we didn't apply interest rate differential directly, and we also didn't apply the Taylor rule differential directly. We just apply the debt to GDP level reflected to the interest rate to the exchange rate. So that means if we can connect like the first equation, we connect that like Canada's debt to GDP level linear and nonlinear, and Canada's GDP per capita and CPI to the interest rate. And we also can connect United States debt level and the GDP per capita or CPI to the interest rate. So because Canada's interest rate can be reflected to some debt level and macroeconomic variable, and also United States interest rate can be measured by United States. Any comment? And the United States interest rate also can be reflected to the United States debt to GDP level and the United States GDP per capita and the CPI. So we can apply Canada's debt to GDP and other variable with United States debt to GDP and other variable to reflect to be the interest rate differential between Canada and the United States. And then we can apply that right-hand side of equation 1 for Canada and the United States based on this idea to do the Canadian dollar to US dollars exchange rate changes. So this is the best idea. We apply why we connect debt to debt elastic uncovered interest rate differential to exchange rate changes. So that's the main difference or the main idea we have able to contribute to the public debt, interest rate, and the exchange rate in the global finance literature or global finance study. This is exactly what we try to do, or we try to study the connection between public debt, interest rate, and the exchange rate. About the data, we have the 10 economy, like the table 1 we have ever shown you, and mostly from the 1999 to 2002. And the sample selection, we use the average level of the general government gross debt, because about the sovereign debt is the best idea. But in practice, we precisely defined what is the sovereign debt in the data. We use the general government gross debt to be the sovereign debt, and we define if the variable surpassing 100% is our sample. We study this kind of country. So we found 11 countries, rule out it's rare because not available data. So we studied the 10 countries and the United States to be the numerator. So we can make the 9 country pair. We can do the exchange rate for forecasting for the country pair, 10 country pair. And about the study, about the interest rate, we use the 10 years government bond years. That's all of the data source. We have the 10-year government bond year, or general government growth stat, and CPI, GDP per capita, and we check that nonlinearity problem. We check that's a unit root problem. We apply Dickey-Fuller test and the KPSS test, and then we found there was no unit root problem. Based on the econometric approach, we simply apply the smooth transition regression model like we have ever shown you, and it's based on the Granger and the Versta 1994 that equation, and we test in the null hypothesis in the smooth transition model. We can test a linear by imposing if gamma equal to 0 and C equal to 0 or delta 2 equal to 0. And if the identification problem can be replaced by the transition function in equation 1 with the first order Taylor expansion around gamma equal to 0. This is a very detailed. In practice, we use the linear approximation to show the nonlinear model, and we test, based on the general regression, that nonlinear can be D with power 2 and 2 power m. And we also study based on the Taylor expansion framework. So the null hypothesis would be gamma equal to 0, and is equivalent to test H2 to Hm equal to 0 in equation 2 to test nonlinearity behavior to make sure if that model with the data have a nonlinearity or not. Two popular ways to test the nonlinearity. One is a word test, another one is a white test. We applied both approach. And we also have to determine the appropriate order based on Versta 1994's paper. So we usually consider m equal to 1 to simplify. In the literature, we usually consider m equal to 1 or m equal to 2, and to test the p-value to make sure that's a linear, or the model is a linear or non-linear. And in that exponential, if we found that the model is non-linear, and then we have to test if the nonlinear model is a logistic, like we have ever shown you that GD gamma C is a logistic if m equal to 1, or if that's an exponential, that's m equal to 2 transition function to see that's what kind of nonlinear transition model, logistic or exponential in our data. And then we tested the hypothesis. We present that p-value for our analysis. That p-value test is if that p-value is less than 0.1, that means we got the evidence to support 10% significant level. If p-value less than 0.01, that means we found the 1% significant level to support our argument. So that's a smooth transition model can be estimated. So, in the those are 2020's framework, they apply the standard smooth transition model in their study and the paper published in the macroeconomic dynamic. But in our study, we applied one alternative framework. We used the term STHAR. HAR, that's ST is the smooth transition regression model, but HAR here is the heterogeneous autoregressive model. So, frankly to say, that STHAR model is a general form of the smooth transition regression model with one autoregressive term placed in the right-hand side in the independent variable, so a one-leg term. So this is a general form, or this is an extension of the smooth transition model. Is introduced by the Izardin 2021 to understand the Izardin 2021 used this method STHAR to understand stock market volatility. But in our study, we consider that the HAR into the framework to be the much general form. So that means in the STHAR model, in our case, is a combination of a one-quarter-legged dependent variable IT minus 1 and with STR, other than the legged dependent variable IT minus 1. All of that are the same as the STR. So the estimation process of the STHAR can be conducted using the technique to study our framework. So we apply that STR and STHAR together in this study to examine the connection between the connection among the public debt, interest rate, and exchange rate changes. So in practice, we apply the uncovered interest rate UIP condition to forecast 1 quarter ahead exchange rate movement with a nonlinear specification of the interest rate as a function of the sovereign debt. So that uncovered interest rate UIP condition can be obtained, and like we have ever mentioned, is ITD, the D is interest rate, domestic interest rate, and it can be reflected to be the domestic sovereign debts minus foreign countries interest rate. But foreign country, now we use a single numerator United States data to be the foreign country, and the interest rate of the United States can be replaced by the debt to GDP, the debt level, or the debt elastic interest rate of the United States. So the interest rate, similar to the earlier interest rate differential, similar to earlier, we have ever shown you.
Professor?
Yes.
Is it convenient for you if we have 10 minutes breaks? So
to finish the presentation?
Like a 10 minutes breaks.
10 minutes break?
Yeah. So
okay,
professor can be more relaxed
right.
and other participants too.
Okay, so we have a 10 minutes break. That means we will come back at 11 past 30.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, 10 minutes break. Thank you. Hello, Professor. Should we start?
Yeah, yes, Professor,
Okay.
You can start. Professor, there is a question inside our chat box. Maybe Professor want to answer now, or maybe after finish all of the material.
Okay. So I will leave about 10 minutes. Is that okay? 10 minutes for the question and answer. All right, I will try to finish in 20 minutes. All right. So we have a linear test, and we found because if that's a nonlinear, we have different kind of two different kind of nonlinear format. One is logistic, another one is exponential, and we found empirical result. We found Beijing, Canada, or some country are logistic, and the United States logistic, and other remaining country exponential. So that means for the exchange forecasting, we can make, because a foreign country just United States. United States is logistic, so that country pair for the United States, it must be logistic. But for the home country, some is logistic, some are exponential. So finally, in that forecasting, we make logistic, or exponential logistic. And by using two alternative methods, nonlinear method, one is STR, another one is STHAR. That's two different kind of method. And the forecasting ability, we found in the literature, we measure the mean absolute error, MAE, over root of a mean square error, RMSE, and we also test the forecasting ability if it can beat the random walk process or cannot beat the random walk process. So we apply two methods. One is Diabo and Mariano, 1995. This is for the non-nested model. Another one is a Clark-West. These two methods are quite popular even nowadays in the literature to measure the forecasting ability if they can beat or cannot beat the random walk process. So most paper, they mainly rely on, in the literature, mainly rely on the CW test, Clark and West test. So in our main conclusion, we explain the result by based on the criterion, the result of the Clark and West CW test to measure, to evaluate the forecasting accuracy. The summary about the sovereign debt effect, we connect the debt and the interest rate, the result present in the table 2, and we found we use the in the table 2, we connect the debt elastic interest rate estimation with the linear model. So that means in the dependent variable is the interest rate, and independent variable with some key variable, that's a constant term, debt to GDP, CPI, and GDP per capita, like we have ever mentioned, other macro variable, and that's a debt label, that's a lowercase dt, to present the linear model, because we want to show you that's a benchmark result or benchmark effect. We found for most cases, we can find that debt to GDP label have a significant power to explain the interest rate changes. But unfortunately, some we expect the positive, but in the linear form, some are negative. That's based on the result, the debt on the interest rate for Belgium, Canada, or Portugal, that's a insignificant for the cases. But other than this three countries are significant, and we got some negative effect in the linear model. We explain that interest rate may be driven by the quantitative effect, because after 2008, more than a half of our observation, the interest rate is decaying because government print out too much money. So we can find that even the debt to GDP level increasing, but interest rates still keep decreasing because too much money. We explain the result, the simple result based on that model. And after show that linear relationship, we test if the model with nonlinearity, to test the nonlinearity, no hypothesis is linearity. So if we reject at the 10%, that means the model should be nonlinearity. We based on two statistic. One is a word, another one is a white test. This is a result test by the word and word F, white and white F. We in the parentheses, that's without parentheses, with the significant, that's a statistic. In parentheses is a p-value, so one can check just only p-value. You can find almost all of the data, all of the country show that's a nonlinear relationship between the interest rate and the debt to GDP level. That means if in the conventional study, one apply that linear model to estimate, to examine the interest rate and debt to GDP level, that should be have some bias. So this is one evidence to support our study to apply nonlinear method to estimate the model. And if we confirm the nonlinearity, we must identify what kind of nonlinearity model is logistic and what kind is exponential. So like, for example, Belgium, for the logistic test, we found they are significant. That means for the Belgium, they are logistic, a logistic case. And like the United States, that's a logistic case because the case of the logistic assumption, that's a significant. But for some country like Italy, that's exponential because that's much more significant than logistic. So that's the sequential homogeneity test for selecting number of switch. That means this table can answer this nonlinearity form between the interest rate and the debt to GDP level is what kind of nonlinearity is logistic or exponential. So that's our work. So based on that, because the time is limited, so I just try to show you the debt elastic interest rate estimation with the STR. STR is a standard model we just try to show you. We report both nonlinear, we report both logistic and exponential because we found Belgium to United States. Based on table 4, they show the logistic relationship between interest rate and debt to GDP level. And for UK, Italy, and Portugal, they are exponential. So we separate all of our data to be the two different cases. We examine the equation 1 by two different kind of nonlinear model. One is logistic, another one is exponential. And we examine that debt to GDP level nonlinear term. We found for some of the cases, they show the significant. That means that the debt to GDP level can nonlinear explain the relationship between debt to GDP and interest rate changes, no matter based on logistic or exponential. This is the standard way we follow, but those are to do the simple estimation. And we extend the smooth transition model with the dependent variable leg turn. So that means the leg turn here, we define that to be the delta 3. We found all of the delta 3 are significant, positive and significant. That means this kind of estimation can justify we apply this STHAR is the right way to do the nonlinear smooth transition model. And about the delta 2, we got this similar conclusion. Delta 1 for the linear term debt to GDP, delta 2 is nonlinear debt to GDP. We found some positive and significant evidence to support our argument, but we still found some insignificant or negative value, that because we explain that to be the QE effect, no matter that's a linear or nonlinear. And in the figure 4, we show some cases about the debt to GDP level and the risk premium or interest rate for some country, not all of the country. In our paper, actually, we show all of the country, and we found some nonlinear relationship, especially like Spain. For example, that horizontal is a debt to GDP level. That means like a default risk. And a vertical is risk premium interest rate changes. So we found a nonlinear relationship when that's a debt to GDP level low, that's almost non-sensitive. But when debt to GDP higher to one threshold level, that's interest rate increase a lot because the default risk increase a lot. That means investor very sensitive to the debt to GDP changes by smooth transition model. And for the STHAR model show some similar but different way. In the Italy, they show the similar way like STR in Spain. That's a nonlinear relationship. But no matter what kind of the nonlinear, what kind of debt to GDP to interest rate changes, we all found that's a nonlinear relationship that can justify. If we keep use the linear in the literature, we use the linear form that maybe have some bias. That's similar to our argument. So because it's about 5 minutes left, so we jump to that's a prediction. So we apply 2 methods to do the out of sample exchange rate forecasting by using is standard one, STR, smooth transition regression. Another one is smooth transition regression. STR and the STHAR model to do the exchange rate forecasting. The first one is STR. The second one is STHAR. So in the table 2, actually in the paper, we put that in the same table. And we found, you can see, we have 2 different kind of assumption. We use a logistic to logistic and exponential to logistic, because in the nonlinearity examination, we found the single foreign country that's only logistic, and the country pair domestic to the foreign country, domestic can be logistic and exponential. Exponential for some UK, Italy, and Portugal. So in this three country pair, we make the country pair by using the exponential and logistic. Other than these three countries, they are all logistic. So we make logistic to logistic. And we present the p-value by using the STR model. We present the p-value to compare if that elastic interest rate model can beat the random walk model. We found almost all of the cases, we found that's a significant result. That means our model perform better than random walk model. In the exponential log model, we found the similar result. And by using the STHAR model, we conclude almost the same result. All of the logistic to logistic model, they can beat the random walk process. And also exponential logistic model, they can beat the random walk model also. So what does that mean? That means our framework, our debt elastic interest rate, uncovered interest rate parity model can forecast the currency pair value, the exchange rate changes much better than the benchmark model. The benchmark model is the random walk process. So that's what we have ever done. In our concluding remark, I take the 2 minutes to complete our concluding remark. We explore nonlinear relationship between countries' debt level and the risk premium by two methods. One is STR, another one is STHAR. And we can describe the possible link between debt to GDP level and the interest rate. And we generate an out-of-sample exchange rate forecasting model for the exchange rate movements by using the conventional uncovered interest rate parity. But different is we incorporate a debt elastic interest rate instead of interest rate data exactly to apply the uncovered interest rate parity model. All of the countries in our sample exhibits smooth transition function. That means for all of the model are nonlinearity, but the two nonlinearities, 3 are exponential and 7 are logistic. So we apply, particularly we apply the STHAR model embodied the leg-dependent variable term, and we can find it can forecast the currency value very well. And that interest rate response sensitive to the debt level through the risk premium. And once the debt to GDP level reach a specific threshold, they are not gradually adjustment anymore. So we bridge the two streams of the literature by incorporating debt consideration and uncovered interest rate parity. That's the contribution. And about the nonlinearity model, we consider the nonlinearity relationship into the UIP condition, resulting superior forecasting performance compared to the random walk model examined by DM or CW statistic. And we highlight the importance of incorporating the debt consideration into the uncovered interest rate parity. This is the main contribute in the exchange rate forecasting literature. And furthermore, the disparity between the expected hypothesis and the observed result may stem from the market participant perception of default risk. And we also found the anticipated impact of the debt on the risk premium or interest rate may not be manifest as a hypothesis. So that's all of our conclusion. That's the reference for the paper I mentioned. So like this is the paper. Like Matsuki and Minjian Chen, that's an Australian economic paper, like Engel, 2019 JMF paper, and like Granger, that's a textbook. So, Tarima Kashi. Thank you very much.
Sama-sama, very welcome, Professor. We also thank you so much for the very insightful courses today. I also unexpected that the course is really meaningful, especially for me that have.
Thank you very much for your
research.
compliments.
There are some questions, because maybe it is really interesting, so it is attracted some of question. Professor can also see from the chat box, and there is participant who raising his hand, Mr. Muhammad Ahmad Usman. Okay, Mr. Muhammad Ahmad, maybe you can also open your camera so we can see your face.
Okay,
yeah. Mr.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for your wonderful presentation.
Yeah.
I have issue with my camera. Sorry for that, but we learned a lot from this presentation. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, the organizers. What I want to ask Professor is, I'm currently a PhD student at Xi'an University School of Economics here in Xi'an, China. So my field of research is exchange rate and innovation. So I would like to have your contact for further inquiries. Thank you, Professor.
All right, thank you. Yeah. Another have my connection, like an email or something, or I can forward the paper to the Inada, and then you can deliver to all of the our audience, and it will be more convenient to understand and the issue about the debt of interest, the public debt interest rate and the exchange rate changes. Yeah, Inada, is that okay with you? All right.
Yes, very okay.
All right, I'm going to forward you the paper and with my contact information. Thank you. And I found one in the dialog box. I found some of the country. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Some of the first question is some country the debt to GDP level lower than 100%. So we drew out from our study, but they still suffer from the default risk. Yeah, this is a problem. So in the beginning, to begin with, we try to study. We try to find out very basic criterion to incorporate our sample country. We use a very simple idea, a simple criterion that's 100%. But I confess that 100% is just a ad hoc criterion. another rule. Maybe one can extend that to all of the country, the debt to GDP level, and that's interest rate changes. They may find a different kind of result, maybe especially for some developed country in Asia, in Africa, or in other some country. That's a very good comment. Yeah, but in our to begin with, we try to give a very simple idea for that high debt to GDP country. So we just use that 100%. Yeah, but that's a very good comment. Thank you. And some,
also there is the next question.
Yeah, that's
from
the next question. From I'm Wang, Mr. Wang, is that right?
Yeah.
But he write in Chinese.
In Chinese.
That's no problem. I can read that Chinese. So let me see. The first question is, what is the economic the main factor for the economic growth? So actually something different from the issue, but I can simply answer. I think that this should be the productivity changes. So if the productivity increasing, the output will be increasing, economic performance will be getting better. But how to make the technology progresses, just investment in R&D. This is the most important issue in the global one of the important issue in the global finance. This is the first question. And the second question is how that's a monetary policy in the developing economy can change the global financial market. Mostly, for most of the country, they concern about a small open economy like Taiwan or like Indonesia. They concern about the competitive power to the in the global market, the home produced goods in the price of the home produced goods in a global market. So they concerned about the exchange rate changes to the United States dollar. So when some key some main country like the United States or Europe, they change their interest rate like over the past 2 years, United States increased that interest rate, their currency getting stronger. So that means they will change the relative price of the home country in the global market. So if the small economy like Taiwan or Indonesia try to prevent this kind of problem, they normally have to follow the monetary policy. So when they follow the that's a monetary policy, they will change the global financial market also. So that's just the main economy like the United States or Europe, they implement the monetary policy, they can change the global market because a lot of the followers, they try to keep the home currency to some main currency like USD or Euro as stable, so they will change that global financial market together. That's the best idea. The two key question, and I found still have some question, but I'm not so sure if we still have time to answer that question or something.
Yes, Professor. Actually, we started with some openings, so maybe we can extend a little bit.
Oh, okay. So if I still have, because I found still have a lot of questions. So I'm happy to answer that, but I'm not so sure because time is almost up. So I can forward my paper to the Inada, and then it can be, it will be feel free to forward to everyone. That's a paper with my email address, so one can forward your question to me, and I will be happy to discuss with you by some social media or by email. Is that okay?
Yeah, is that okay?
All right. Thank you very much for your attending.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Chang. Ladies and gentlemen, and all of participants, we are very sorry that we cannot accommodate all of your questions and cannot be answered now. But don't worry, Professor is really open for any question. If you have another or further questions in the future, we will share the material to our WhatsApp group, so all of participants can see it. And there is a contact of Professor Chang, so you can easily email your question or drop your question to him. He is really open for discussion for the next session. Okay, this is the end of our discussion of the first course regarding the global finance. And thank you very much once again, Professor Chang, for your insight shared to us today. So yeah, thank you very much. And all of participants, thank you for your attending. And don't forget to join the next session. We have another session regarding the courses. Before we close our first course, can we capture our togetherness today? So all of participants, could you please open your camera?
All right.
Prof. And bisa capture? Okay. Okay. There are some slides because a lot of participants join us today. So please be patient. I will counting from 3, 2, 1.
All right.
Okay, and then the next page, give your best smile. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Okay.
And the
Thank
last
you so
slide.
much. Yeah. Okay.
We still have some participants. Let's capture 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your invitation, and thank you, Inada. Thank you, and see you.
See you. Thank
All right.
you,
See you.
Professor.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, I will give it back to the host, Miss Putri.
Okay. Thank you, Inada.
Thank you, Professor Chang.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Bapak Agus Salim, for guiding us through that insightful session. Because it's time to take a break, and the program will continue at 1:30 or 1:30, and was in time of Indonesian times. So please make sure you return on time. Yeah. See you.
Seven, 2008, 2018, and the 2020. Okay. I will compare to the three. I will compare among three crises here. The first, 1997, we had Asia financial crisis. There were monetary crisis in Indonesia. this problem is about the financial sector. So the small business is already exists. And the second point is 2008 global financial crisis. This is the worst U.S. crisis since the Great Depression. But Indonesia economic fundamental was quite strong because it was supported by the production sector, or fundamental economics is quite strong. And then the third is 2020, COVID-19. It is unpredictable, uncertainty, non-economic variable has encouraged here, weakening traditional market sector, so the small business enterprises was collapsed. Okay, next. Okay, recession and recovery. In Indonesia have had recession about the COVID-19. In the theory of business cycle, we can see that the recession is defined as sustained period when economic output or GDP falls and unemployment rises. And to handle the recession, the indication of the recession is the income falls, sales falls, production falls, employment falls, and etc. This is a vicious cycle, and to counter or to handle this recession, we can make the counter-cyclical policy. We can revise the row. We can revise the row that how to employment rises, and then income rises, sales rises, and also production rises. This is a virtuous cycle or the counter-cyclical policy. Okay, next. Yeah. In the theory of business cycle, if the country have passed the V-shaped growth, it's safe and already to recovery. This is in the condition in Indonesia 1990 for the COVID-19 2019. Okay, the economic growth dropped to the minus 5.332 in the second quarter in 2020. And Alhamdulillah, Indonesia can rise the economic growth, rise again until the positively economic growth in quarter 2 2021. So Indonesia have passed the V-shaped growth recovery. The recession ends and recovery starts. Okay, next. Okay, next. Okay, we can see the condition in 2019 and 2019 and 2021. The APBN, or the state budget of Indonesia, is assigned to accelerate inclusive and sustainable economic transformation. In 2020 and 2021, state budget policy were significantly influenced by the COVID-19 pandemic. So it needs the government strategy to address the economic challenge and support the growth. Okay, and in 2020, APBN was drastically adjusted to respond to the pandemic, such as government enacted law number 2 of 2020, which allowed or permit the budget deficit exceed or extend the usual 3%. The maximum deficit 3%, it can be allowed of GDP limit. And then the other response, the other fiscal response is significant allocation for the health sector, social assistance program, and also economic stimulus packages. Okay, in 2021, we can see that APBN or state budget continue to play a critical role in economic stabilization and recovery. Prioritize in infrastructure development, strengthening social protection system, and also supporting sector heavily impacted by the pandemic. So we can conclude then that 2020 and 2021, the state budget serve a crucial economic stabilization tool, helping to control inflation and protect purchasing power. And we know that the government fiscal policy in 2021 and also continue to 2022 were designed to act shock absorber for the economy better. Next. Okay, this is the realization of 2020 state budget expenditure. The point is the government still prioritizing to handling the COVID-19 because health recovery is prerequisite for social economy recovery. Okay, we can see the realization about the health worker incentive, realization of other COVID-19 handling expenditure, CKN, Jaminan Kesehatan Nasional, Contributed Assistance, realization COVID-19 Task Force, and also health tax incentive. This many rupiahs expenditure to cover these sectors. Next. Okay, this is the program that the government continue to distribute social protection fund. Social protection funds, such as the PKH, Family Help Program, Rice Social Assistance for PKH recipients, Basic Food Cards, kartu makan sehat ya, basic food cards, and then also pre-employment card, kartu prakerja, cash assistance, fund cash assistance, BLT, and also Bansos Tunai, PST, for basic food recipients. Okay, there are a lot of programs that about the social protection funds. Okay, next. And for the labor-intensive programs, the government also implemented many programs that especially to employment opportunities for low-income communities who have lost their income or permanent jobs. This program is to boost the economy, like the labor-intensive agriculture, labor-intensive marine and fisheries, labor-intensive transportation, and also labor-intensive or housing. Okay, next. Okay, we can see the assistance for the government to the other business or productive sectors. We can see PEN program, Pemulihan Ekonomi Nasional, that the government seeks to protect, maintain, and improve the economic capacity of business sectors. Especially this business sector is SMEs, small and medium enterprises. Yeah, okay. This is like the KUR or interest subsidy and assistance for micro business with salary subsidies and etc. Okay, next. Okay, the condition in 2021 state budget has worked hard and performed positively in controlling COVID and recovering the national economy. We can see the data that in 2021 December, that the realization of state revenue is about the 2,000 trillion rupiah. This is rise from the target APBN target 2021 that is 1,700 trillion rupiah. Yeah. Okay, from 1,700 trillion rupiah to the 2,000 trillion rupiah. This is 114.9% rise, yeah, rise the state budget. Yeah. Okay, next. Okay, in 2021, we can see what the revenue was supported. The revenue was supported by three major: tax revenue, non-tax state revenue, and also custom and excise revenue. All of these trees, each of these trees is up and rises. The tax revenue is rises up to 3.9%. Custom and excise revenue rise 25%, and non-tax revenue or PNBP penerimaan negara bukan pajak rise to 51%. Okay, Pak Nurul. Okay, the condition in 2021, here we can see the 3 point: state revenue, state spending, and a deficit. Okay, the state deficit, the deficit counted 1,000 trillion rupiah or 5.7%. This is exceed the limit of deficit budget 3%, but it's permitted by the law number 2 of 2020. Okay, and the state revenue. Okay, the state spending is exceed the state revenue. So the deficit about the 5.7% is still admitted by the law number 2 of 2020. Okay, next. So this is the condition that the state revenue must continue to support economic recovery, but also provide measured tax incentive to provide economic acceleration. On the expenditure side or spending side, the continues to handle COVID to carry out reforms in 2021. And in financing side, this is supporting the restructuring of BUMN, wealth fund, increasing in MSMEs, and also housing, and etc. Okay, next. Okay, we can see the recovery in 2022 and 2023. Here, state budget focus on supporting economic recovery that prioritize area are infrastructure development, human capital investment, and social welfare programs. This policy to stimulate economic growth and protect vulnerable population like the small business enterprises. Okay, and Indonesia demonstrated economic resilience with maintain economic growth above 5% for 7 consecutive quarters. This is the good condition. This performance position Indonesia as one of the few countries that successfully sustain growth, economic stability, and people's purchasing power. The budget deficit for 2022 was 2.38% of GDP. This is lower than 3% limit limit deficit. Okay, this is the good condition 1 year faster or earlier in achieving maximum deficit of 3% of GDP. So the target of back to under the 3% is on 2023, but in 2022, Indonesia can reach 2.38 under the 3%. That is a good condition. And 2023, Indonesia can remain resilient at 5% in growth, economic growth, supported by strong domestic demand, consumption, and investment. And the deficit or the budget deficit for 2023 maintain manageable level of 1.65% of GDP. This is under the 3%. This reflects the government's commitment to fiscal prudence while supporting economic recovery. Okay, next. Okay, this is strong budget performance in 2022. This is a good performance in 2022 that Indonesia can reach the strong budget performance. Fiscal deficit recorded at 2.38% under the 3%. It is good condition. Government revenue grew significantly, about 30%, supported by economic activity and others. Sorry. The government expenditure is optimized at 99.5%. Yeah. Expenditure. Okay, that is a good condition because of a shock absorber. So the government must expenditure more, yeah, to shock absorber and to support economic growth. And then the deficit here, the budget deficit is under the 3% in 2022. This is a 2.38%. So in 2022 condition in our budget, asset budget is good for the deficit. Government can maintain the deficit budget. Okay, next. Okay, then the strategies to stabilization function, distribution function, and allocation function. The first, to stabilization function, inflation rate is maintained in moderate level. Yeah, maintains to under the two-digit percent inflation. And then strong economic growth, average at 5% or more than that. And high increase of new workers, 4.2 million. And distribution function, we can see that the government try to elevate poverty, that the poverty rate continues downward trend to single digits. Yeah, to single digit, yeah, under the 2 digit, under 10% of poverty rate. Okay, and then the Gini ratio is sustained minutes in the 0.38 or 37, 0.37%. This is the medium Gini ratio. Okay, and then allocation function, the government maintain the Human Development Index in the average 71 or 0.71 or 771. Okay, the lower stunting prevalence stunting in health field, yeah, stunting prevalence is very important. Stay to lower stunting prevalence. And the 2021, this is 24.4%. Yeah, and it still continue to lower stunting prevalence in 2023 and so on. And higher farmers terms straight to 101. Yeah, at average 101. The next. Okay, next to 2023 budgets is already strong, and we can see that fiscal deficit is already under the 3% of GDP. Yeah, we can see here 1.65% deficit budget to GDP. That is a good condition for Indonesia. And the utilization state budget in 2023, the first strengthening national economic recovery, thickening social existence, acceleration of regional road infrastructure, development of the capital city of the archipelago, preparation for 2024 general election, and so on. Okay, the point into the point in 2023 is the budget remains strong, and the deficit the deficit of the budget deficit is already low, under the 3% of GDP. Next. Okay, we can see now the the acceleration of the to 2024. Next. Okay, next. Focus on next. Okay, focus of fiscal policy in 2024. We can see the first optimization of the distribution or stabilization function of the state budget, which focus on controlling inflation. So this point is price stability, and then eliminating extreme poverty for the short and long program, reducing stunting prevalence, yeah, stunting, and also increasing investment. In 2024, focusing on the investment, how to the investor interest come to the Indonesia again. And the second, through optimizing the APBN allocation function, focus on strengthening the quality of human capital. Sorry. Focus on strengthening the quality of human capital. Okay, human capital is more than labor. Okay, human capital is more than labor. We can see the theory of new economic growth. Yeah, that human capital can boost the economic growth. Okay, the quality of human capital, accelerating infrastructure development, and encouraging high value added economic activities. Okay, this is the focus in the production and institutional sectors, I think. Okay, then the third, continuing fiscal reform. Yeah, the fiscal reform, such as maintaining the investment climate. Yeah, the good climate for the investor, improving the quality of spending to support strengthening structural reform and anticipating global uncertainty. The point is uncertainty of global condition. Yeah, how to prevent this, and also maintaining debt financing with safe and manageable condition. Yeah. The maintaining financing, maintaining the debt. Yeah. Okay, the next. Okay, this is the 2024 development target. Yeah, there are many sectors would be the target of 2024. The first, unemployment rate 5 to 5.7%. Human Development Index, yeah, that I say before that about the 73 until 74, yeah, the Human Development Index, and poverty rate 6.5 to 7.5, yeah, percent, and Gini ratio, I can say before that it's maintained at the level of 0.37. This is the Gini ratio, that the condition is a medium Gini ratio, medium inequality. Okay, and the extreme poverty, I think the percent extreme poverty 0 until 1%. Okay, next. I think next. This is 2024 fiscal policy is directed to accelerate economic transformation. Economic transformation must be the highlight of the 2024 fiscal policy. That is the medium to long-term fiscal policy focus. Yeah. We can reach the condition in the vision of the advantage Indonesia 2045. Indonesia berdaulat, maju, adil, dan makmur. 2045 vision prosperous Indonesia. Okay, there are three aspects in these visions. The first, human capital gap, and then infrastructure gap, and institutional gap. Yeah, human capital gap. I said before that human capital is very important for boosting the economic growth. Human capital is more than labor. Enhancing the quality of education. The quality is the first, and strengthening healthcare facilities and service. Improving nutrition, enhancing quality of vocational workforce. Human capital gap, we can see the achievement of human capital is in the Human Development Index. That the Human Development Index consists of the education, health, social economy, and etc. Okay, infrastructure gap, we can see the strategy of vision, improving basic infrastructure, enhancing information technology. Information technology is very important now. Upgrading energy infrastructure, and also improving environmental health infrastructure. So in this infrastructure here consists of basic infrastructure, technology, energy, and environmental health. Environmental health. Okay, basic technology, energy, and health. And institutional gap, it must be efficient for the institutional, such as regulatory. Sorry, Bu Nurul.
Okay, Dok.
Yeah, okay.
It's okay. Take your time, Dr. Agus.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, continue the institutional gap. It must be efficient, such as the regulatory improvement and bureaucratic reform. It must be efficient. Ease of doing business, especially for the SMEs, small medium enterprises. Strengthening the financial sector, financial sector, banking, and etc. Establishment of the sovereign wealth fund. So this institutional encourage to be support, to support the economic growth, with the strong institutional sector will improve or the boost on the catalyst of the economic growth.
Or Dr. Agus, maybe we need some rest for 5 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes, 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes. Okay. Okay, guys, we will be rest for 2 minutes to Dr. Agus take a drink first before.
Okay, Ibu Nurul, I'm already.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'll continue my presentation. So the fiscal policy focus in 2024 fiscal policy in Indonesia, human capital gap, infrastructure gap, and institutional gap. This to support economic transformation. So the productivity and value added must change from low to high, environment change to brown to clean and green, and economic base, the narrow and broad base and inclusive. I think 2045 vision must be reached. Next. Okay, next. Okay, this is 2024 budget postures focus on expediting inclusive and sustainable economic transformation. There are many fields: education, social protection, infrastructure, health, food security, new capital city. Okay, the first focus or first proportion, the great proportion, the biggest proportion is education, 600 trillion rupiah, and then social protection, infrastructure, and etc. So the education and social protection and also infrastructure is three focus, the important fields that focus in 2024 budget postures. Okay, next. Okay, here the tax revenue in 2024 is targeted to 2,300 rupiah, 2,300 trillion rupiah, or grow 9%. This is consists of the custom and excise and non-tax revenue. Next. Okay, furthermore, the tax revenue in 2024 state budget is target 9% growth, and this is various factors that will support, including domestic economic projection, the level of compliance and technology integration in the tax system, and the expansion of the tax base through intensification and extensification. I think tax revenue or the tax basic is always the main proportion for the revenue in Indonesian state budget. Okay, next. Okay, this is the interesting that the 2025 RAPBN agreed and Prabowo Gibran focus on fiscal stabilization and economic growth. Many things here must be done. The first, adjustment of states revenue targets, basic macroeconomic assumption 2025 to 2025, adjusting the 2025 APBN posture, challenges of maintaining the APBN deficit, is of course under the 3% of deficit of GDP, and the importance of fiscal balance. Next. Okay, this is the continue about the Prabowo Gibran program here. About the most remembered by the public, and the public most remember about the freelance and milk, 48%. Okay, and if they ask about the program needs to be prioritized, the most of them choose assistant in fulfilling nutrition or balita and pregnant woman. Include the stunting, maybe stunting prioritized, and then Kartu Indonesia Sehat, elderly, for the elderly, and so on. Okay, and here we can see that fiscal 2025, the macro condition in 2025, state revenue, percent to GDP, state revenue 12%, about 12%, state expenditure 14%, So the fiscal deficit range to 2.45 until 2.82%. Yeah. This is under the 3%. Yes, still maintain in the range of under the 3%. Okay, and then the strategic in the sector of the state budget. The first is education. The first and the second is perlindungan sosial. This is and then infrastructure, education, perlinsos, and infrastructure. This is the three of the major concern in strategic sector, strategic sector in the 2025 budget in Indonesia. Okay, next. Okay, I think that's all my presentation. Again, I do apologize for my health, coach. And thank you. Back to Ibu Nurul.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Agus, for your fascinating presentation. And what Dr. Agus conveyed was very interesting and expanded our knowledge about the Indonesian economy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're so sorry due to Dr. Agus having other agenda today. The question and answer session will be canceled. However, don't worry. If any of you have questions regarding the material presented in this second session, please feel free to ask in the WhatsApp group chat, or you can contact the committee and also send the email to Dr. Agus with email address in the chat box. And Dr. Agus will be very happy if you want to discuss with him. Ladies and gentlemen, as in the previous session, before we conclude today's session, we will take a group photo with the speakers. So please kindly turn on your camera so we can capture this event together. I will count to 3 for each photo session. So we can start the committee. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, the next slide. 1, 2, 3. And once again. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the presentation for the second sessions. Once again, I would like to thank Dr. Agus Arifin. We wish you have a speedy recovery and have a happy activities ahead. Now I return the event to the MC, Ms. Putri. Thank you for your attention. Ms. Putri, the time is yours.
Thank you, Bu Nurul.
Thank you, Dr.
Here.
Agus.
Thank you, and I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you, Bu Nurul, for facilitating such an engaging discussion. And I express my regret because we don't have a question session, but don't worry, because if you have any question, you may type your question in email, which already sent the link in the chat box. So the presenter will very happy to answer your questions. And that concludes our second session for today. Thank you to all our speakers and participants for a wonderful day of learning. But don't worry, because today is not the end. We will meet again tomorrow for another important sessions at 10 p.m. Indonesian times. For participants from various countries, maybe you may adjust according to your respective time zone. Have a great day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Bu Nurul.
Thank you, Bu.
Putri.
Putri.